Shit, what's this podcast called?
Discourse of Human Events.
The discourse is just crazy.
Everything's okay, I'm just trying to act my age. Yeah, I wanna know where the hell the days go. Yeah, I wanna know where the hell the days go. I wanna look and feel years younger, baby. I wanna look.
1, 2, 3. Dildos!
Okay, so on this episode, we're going to talk about all the crazy tinfoil hat conspiracy theory stuff we believe in, don't believe in, ones we probably just made up, ones everybody else probably just made up. So we're going to start. Now, if I got this right, we're just going to randomly mention one we know of, or a random one. We're going to think like the percentage that we think it's true for everybody, and why we think it's true or not true. Is that how we're going to do this first round of conspiracy theory boxing?
So, does anyone have a conspiracy theory they want to start with? Conspiracy theory they know of?
Let's see. Okay, like, are we doing rare ones or like just ones right off the bat that we think might be true?
Fucking anything goes.
Pizzagate.
With us. So okay, here. Oh, okay. Oh no, I was gonna go with.
Or we're going off
because we've already done Pizzagate several times.
True, that's true. All right. Well, so what was your conspiracy?
I thought we would just start off with the most commonly known one. 9/11 was an inside job, or B, the Bush administration knew about it and didn't do anything about it because they wanted to have a justification to invade Iraq. Which seems more plausible than it was an inside job, right?
Yeah, of course.
So we can start with that. You want to go with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
That seems like a good starting point.
Let's do it. So let's start with, since you brought it up, what is your percentage chance for each one and why you think it's true or not true?
Okay, I would say inside job, really low. I don't think the government actually blew up the towers. I don't think it's completely impossible, but I'm putting less than 5%.
Less than 5? Okay.
Okay. And then that they knew about it, it depends on the definition of know about it. They had intelligence on it, sure. And then it's at what level and who knew. I don't think Bush knew.
Mm-hmm.
There could have been agents at various levels that were fuck it, let's not pass on that information because I own some stock in Halliburton. But still, I would only put that at significant level, 30%, 20%.
Okay.
And that's at some level, somebody in the administration said, I would rather that it actually go through. Just that there might be somebody sympathetic to the cause throughout the entire... I don't think there was a Department of Homeland Security at the time. What was the equivalent? Just the FBI? Or
there was Homeland Security at the time, wasn't there? Or is that what started Homeland Security?
No, that...
Really?
Yeah, that was created afterwards, I believe. I don't know what the predecessor was. I think it was they were disparate. The FBI had an anti-terrorism unit, and then there was maybe one in the CIA, and then the Department of Homeland Security, I think, kind of brought all of them together into one unit. I think is the general idea, right? Something like that.
Wait,
yes, it was. Yeah. Founder is George W. Bush, so it was definitely found after 9/11.
Yeah, it started on, was it November 2002?
Yeah, I think it's certainly possible that a couple people, not necessarily had Halliburton stock, but just may have been I don't even like the WTO, right? Very far left, and just wanted to see the capitalists
I also don't
die.
think most people would have saw as big of a disaster coming for it.
Yeah. I don't know. So, but I'm still only placing that 20 to 30%, maybe. What do you guys think?
I'm sort of in line with you, so I'll go next because I'm pretty much the same thing. I think even less for the second part, that like some people knew about it and didn't do anything about it. I think more it's just there's so much people give the government more credit than I think they should deserve. I think there's more idiocy going on. There's more people fucking up their jobs. More people.
That's true.
Probably some more.
I think there's a quote like, "Don't never attribute to malice what could be attributed to incompetence." Right?
Yeah, exactly. I think more people are just literally fucking up their job than are like, "Oh, I'm definitely going to profit off of this." I think more people are probably spying on ex-girlfriends and random shit like that than they are caring about terrorists.
Remember the movie Burn After Reading? I mean, that guy flipped because he's fired, right? And still, it could be something as random as that.
Oh, yeah.
It could be like, fuck you, I'm not going to tell you guys laying me off.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And anybody else want to venture a percentage?
For,
Chloe's not American, so she's like, I don't know, this happened before I was even here. Like a decade before.
She's like, China knew all about it. Oh, shit.
They did not share intelligence.
I saw the event on the TV, and I went down having lunch afterwards. So...
Chloe, do you remember exact moment when it happened?
I remember seeing the news.
How big was it in China?
News?
How big?
Yeah.
It was on the forum being a meme for quite some time.
It was a meme?
It was a meme.
That was how big it was.
Oh,
basically, like, we would view news in China is how they view news in America.
But what do you mean, like, a meme?
See, like, if you see...
Like, making fun of it meme,
like
or
people
just...
make a picture...
like, wow.
Yeah, that's totally what a meme is.
They make jokes, like, this is how Americans tear down building, because construction costs too much.
Oh.
Damn.
Gotcha. Alright.
Anyway.
Okay. I've got a spin-off of this, a conspiracy theory that I just made up, or just now realized the true truth behind
You got
9/11.
the true?
I got the true.
The real true?
So, since we just figured out the Department of Homeland Security was founded after, and it was like, taking all the parts of like the FBI that was anti-terrorist, the CIA that was anti-terrorist, and kind of putting them under one head. And like, making one agency just for that.
Oh, you think there's someone trying to climb up with a career ladder?
Exactly. That Chloe's got it already. The person that knew they would be picked to become the head of the Department of Homeland Security, say he was the head of the anti-terrorism unit in the FBI, he knew that if he didn't pass on the information and this happened, he would be the guy that headed up the newly founded Department of Homeland Security. So he didn't pass it on.
So we're talking about, if this is the head at the time, the director, Julie Kirchner.
Kirchner.
If that was who?
I bet you she came from an anti-terrorism unit in one of the other agencies, right? Maybe she had the information. She didn't pass it along. We just need to find evidence to make this seem true.
I still just don't think, you could predict that. Also, if I could see where some of that would be true, or they're totally going to be attacked, but they would have, written it off a plane's going to hit, a couple hundred people are going to die, right? Did it not?
No, well, there were...
they couldn't predict that the towers are also going to collapse.
No. So, what... Okay, they have information... I would bet that they probably had information that some Muslims were taking piloting lessons, which might be worrying, but they didn't investigate. That might be information that
they probably knew there might be hijacking.
Yeah, there are plans on the hijacking.
They're gonna ram the planes.
But they may have
towers.
thought that evaluated that as lower priority than some other threat.
Yeah,
that could have also been a didn't pass on information, but that's not really conspiracy. It's more like your incompetence.
Yeah, that's where my theory on this whole lies is just mostly incompetence.
Yeah, see,
or
that's what
not necessarily incompetence. Okay, say they are getting pilot's license and stuff.
Yeah.
there might not have been any like actual action they could take with the information they had.
Well, if they were all connected somehow with like 11 people that know each other, are very deeply religious in Islam, are taking piloting lessons, maybe you want to look into that.
Yes, but I don't think that's so. It could be an FBI agent in Oklahoma noticing a person taking pilot license, and then somebody in Florida, right, taking pilot license. They have to somehow communicate and know that, hey, wait, this person actually knows this person who knows this person. They might not have ever gotten that.
I agree with you. You understand that, right? I put 20 to 30%, which means 70 to 80%. I agree it's incompetence. All right?
True.
It's probably
I still think
incompetence.
I'm going lower.
You think it's 90% incompetence?
Okay, I'm going like 1% that it's
1%?
like it was all malice and they knew it was going to happen. And
1%. No. I'm 20%. There is some element of I don't even care or want it to happen. Not that there is all.
Any element.
Yeah, just there was a person that was like, fuck them. I don't want to investigate it because I hope they win.
So as far as them actually being aware of it, though, at an information security conference, one of my coworkers went to a year ago. Mm-hmm. There was a whistleblower from, I think, the NSA who talked about how the NSA collects so much data on people that, every time some terrorist attack comes out, they'll say, yeah, we were tracking that person because we thought they might be a threat. But they're also tracking so many other people that, like, it's impossible for them to keep tabs on a specific person.
If they have 350 million, it's hard to find that needle in a 350 million.
Yeah, so like I wouldn't be completely, like, I'm not completely convinced that they would have been aware of it, but decided to let it happen. Like, I think it's possible that they may have collected some sort of data on these people taking lessons, but like
didn't act upon it or know.
Yeah, like
priority.
they probably weren't aware of it just because.
Yeah.
They're also keeping tabs on like everyone else who's doing everything else.
You know what I think happened? I think what day was September 11th? Tuesday?
I think you might be right. I don't know why.
School. I remember that.
Yeah,
dude,
I was definitely in school.
I'm thinking it was a Tuesday.
I think Zach's right. I think Zach.
It's actually creepy if I remember it.
I think you're right. September 2001, day of the week, is a Tuesday.
Jesus Christ.
I was going to say...
I just kind of blew my mind with that.
Because I definitely remember I was in study hall.
Just Tuesday seemed right when
Tuesday.
I said it.
Yeah.
So here's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
On Friday, before the attacks happened, they got this.
Uh-huh.
They got this information, right?
Yeah.
And the guy who got it on his desk was like, fuck, I don't want to deal with it. I'll wait till Monday. Monday comes around and he gets swamped with all the other stuff, all this other bullshit, because it's Monday. All the work builds up on Mondays, and he was just on the. So it could just be literally he just got swamped with work and put it off. It was just in a stack of papers.
That's basically right. I bet that is fairly like. I bet maybe they had it
Something
for like a month.
Stupid and mundane.
But it was like a low-level guy, and he needed the approval of like 3 managers for it to be sent to the head supervisor, head of department.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to get to this.
And he just couldn't get all 3 people to, sign off on it. He got 2 of the signatures.
Yeah, someone.
That's how bureaucracy works. It's
That's
just
true,
like
though.
that.
And also September, right? It's vacation.
Wait, hold the phone. Did you remember 19 hijackers?
Yeah, it was something like that.
What was that?
Because remember, there was also the one that went down in Pennsylvania, I think, that was headed for the White House. Yeah.
Well, there's the Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
the 2 towers, and the Pentagon. That's 4. How is that 19?
Because there were multiple people on a
Yeah, they
plane.
had a group.
I thought there was just like 1 or 2
No.
on each.
It was
secure.
Yeah, with box cutters, right?
No, this
Lasers.
was a more planned attack than that.
There was a gaggle of terrorists? Man, we really fucked up. Jesus. Okay, so next
All right.
conspiracy. I think we got this
He's got
one
another conspiracy.
figured out. solved. Okay, well, since we're going with the big ones, we might as well go with the next big one. Well, there's two more big ones. Did we land on the moon?
Yeah, I think very close to 100% we did.
Oh.
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Yeah, like, that's verifiable. That's like...
I'm just saying, that's the next big one,
I'd say if, like, Earth is flat is one of them, we landed on the moon is only slightly below that in probability. You know?
You think that's as close? I think, like...
Nah. Yeah.
I mean, I still think it's low, but I think landing on the moon might be a little bit...
I don't know, it might even...
more likely that they faked it.
It's very verifiable. You can buy a telescope, and at one point you could, look like, hey, there's a flag.
But it's not that we never landed on the moon. It's that the first landing never happened. Is the conspiracy?
Yeah,
there's scientists who've talked about how pretending to land on the moon, like setting up the scenery for those shots, and setting up all the fakery that would have had to go into pretending we landed on the moon would have been like way too much effort, like way more effort than...
No,
but here's the
I don't
problem.
believe that, because it's not more effort than
footage.
going to the moon. Going to the moon is a lot of effort to, like...
Way easier.
You can fake it easier. It's just... No, well...
Maybe not, like, easier than going to the moon, but... Or maybe maybe it wasn't harder than going to the moon, but it was, like, the level of effort wouldn't have been worth it.
Have you heard Rogan talk about this, though? One of the craziest pieces of evidence for this is the original tape was taped over accidentally by NASA. So there is no original tape of it.
Yeah, that goes back to organizational incompetence.
Yeah. Isn't that hilarious, though?
They lost, like, the tape to a lot of, like, Johnny Carson shows are completely missing. Lots of old movies are missing because it used to be more expensive, man. Like, that actually...
It's also... They actually had to store it before digital storage. Like, we actually have to have a place dedicated to storing this.
But no,
I mean,
copy. They have things up there that you could verifiably, with telescopes on Earth at the time, had gone and looked and been like, yeah... Or I think one of the way they tested the speed of light was they shot a laser to a mirror that they left there and, like, timed the distance to be like, yes, it's exactly what we thought it was.
Okay.
There are lots of things there.
Yeah. I think we're preaching to the choir on this one. The next big one, though, is the JFK assassination. Was it a conspiracy or not?
There's a spin-off conspiracy to that has a time travel element to it.
Time travel. I will put time travel at 0% likelihood. That one I'm just throwing out.
The way
more likely we didn't land on the moon.
Well, the way that the conspiracy goes is that in the photo, like the photo that was taken either right before the assassination or right after the assassination, there's a woman in a burqa who looks like she's on his cell phone. Which in
I remember seeing something like that. Yeah,
I guess could have been a walkie-talkie, which... Did they have... Yeah, they must have had this.
Yeah, they would have had walkie-talkies.
They would have had
walkie-talkies.
there, too,
they had that in, like, the World War II, okay? They have
way
them.
more like a cell phone. So...
Let me see this picture. I gotta see this picture.
I mean, it's also, like, one of those really grainy photos where if you want to see something, you're gonna see it through all the graininess.
Walkie-talkie JFK, or should I type cell phone JFK?
No, burqa lady JFK.
Burqa, that's just racist. How do you spell burqa?
Babushka, sorry.
I'm offended.
I meant babushka lady. It was in the...
What the fuck is a babushka?
It's like a burqa, but Eastern European.
You need to type this, because
Jesus Christ.
I am from Shelby, Ohio. That is too foreign of a word for my brain.
It's spelled exactly like it sounds. Alright, babushka lady.
Bushka.
JFK.
Well, what is this?
The Babushka lady, JFK, she was the time traveler during the JFK assassination. Duh!
I want the picture. Click images.
So this is a picture during the JFK assassination. You need to take a look and see if it's a time traveler, Chloe.
Wow.
This is very important.
Can you zoom in on one of them?
Okay, there's one.
She's like smiling there. I think it's...
Where's she on the cell phone?
Yeah, where's the cell phone?
I'll see it.
It's right there. It's got to be the cell phone pic. I'm still not seeing even a hint of cell phone usage.
That is such an embellishment.
That's a cell phone?
Let me
Were yellow raincoats not invented in the 60s? Because that's all I'm seeing.
Yeah.
cell phone. How about we go to the...
Right there. That looks like the cell phone you should.
How about we just click on the Wikipedia, which actually says what it is. She was seen to be holding a camera and was also seen in film accounts of the assassination.
You're making some shit up with this cell phone.
It was on a YouTube video. It was it's a very dubious source. So, a very dubious source. I got my time travel conspiracy.
This is where all the conspiracy theories get all their theories from. In
This
fact,
is actually
so I
good
guess
enough to
you're
make
not too far off.
Wikipedia, though. I'm surprised.
That's a good point. Babushka, by the way, for people as unintelligent as me, is BABUSHKA.
And so it's something that a Russian person would wear.
Babushka.
So that's why it's part of the conspiracy. So the Russians came back in time to assassinate JFK. Which is impressive, because they can barely get, a lot of other things to work. They couldn't even compete with the U.S. on several levels. But they got time travel.
Yeah, it's possible the cell phone part was like something that one person made up on YouTube.
Possible?
And then I just wanted to believe in magic, so... The time travel element.
Okay, so...
So anyways, the likelihood that I believe JFK was murdered...
Was murdered? I think we understand that.
Oh, we know he's
I'm guessing 100%.
That it was a conspiracy to murder.
On the murder.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. Every time I, hear somebody saying that, look, here are the weird facts, I hear, here are the, justifications for why it was weird. Yeah. This one, it's hard to come up with a number.
This one has a likelihood, though. That's the problem, right?
I don't look into it. I'd say it's more likely than September 11th attacks were an inside job by a lot. It's more likely, maybe even that somebody had inside information and didn't pass it along, but not by much. I think it's still pretty unlikely.
Which part is the?
I think it's just some nut job.
Conspiracy there that
Which part are you saying isn't very likely? Just the fact that somebody didn't act on it and knew about it?
I'm saying compared to the 9/11 thing. So if 9/11 I put 20 to 30%, I'm saying this is 25 to 30%. I'm not even raising the upper bound.
Which part is the conspiracy in the JFK thing
that it wasn't he acted alone. That maybe he was somehow influenced to do it, or that there was another shooter. Just something about the official story is wrong.
I don't think there's necessarily another shooter, but I'm way higher on there's probably a conspiracy.
Conspiracy as in he was influenced by Russia?
No, just that another person was involved. Yeah,
another
person he didn't act alone.
Like somebody sold him the gun.
No. Somebody else actually knew and helped plan. It wasn't just him writing everything down.
Because he comes off as a crazy loner lunatic.
It's true, but I don't know. There's a lot of weird things about it. That's just the fact that they haven't released the files.
Yeah.
And it's like a presidential thing to keep it closed. That alone is enough to make it way more likely. Why? Why can't we know about it?
that sounds like an inside job to me.
No.
Why is there a file that can't be public?
There are explanations that I've heard that sound plausible. Basically, that there were several fuck-ups, and they're covering for people that fucked up.
But for 50 years, at some point you should just release and be look, guys, we fucked up. There's no conspiracy.
Yeah, their family. One I've heard is that, it was, he acted alone, Oswald, but the driver drew a gun and actually delivered the fatal shot. As in, the car went forward, and then the bullet that's unexplained, or one of the weird things, came from this agent, drawing his gun, and he accidentally
by now
shot him
that agent would be dead.
or something like that.
Why aren't we releasing files?
No, maybe not. He might
He'd
be
80 or 90.
How long ago was that? Yeah, still alive.
What?
Possible.
Oh my gosh, is he gonna have a heart attack?
Alive. Or his family.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I don't know, but they are They're starting to release everything they have, right? They started releasing.
Are they?
Files. Yeah, they released some recently, and I think there's more coming very shortly.
Yeah.
And what was in the release document?
So far, fucking nothing, I don't think. I can't remember.
I didn't read
How
Nothing
are we,
that was
how are we going to
newsworthy.
know that they're not doctored?
But they
by
were
this time?
unreleased, so it didn't seem to mean anything.
How are we going to know they're not doctored?
That's
Like, they're releasing them now that we have
a good
Photoshop.
point. But I think... Yeah, but no, there might be some verifiable ways to know that they were unchanged.
Yeah. So, talking about the Photoshop and
yeah.
everything brought up the conspiracy of whether or not Obama was born in the U.S. Because they published his birth certificate, right? But a lot of people,
birth
of course,
certificate, yeah.
response was...
That pretty much
Photoshop.
put it to bed. Oh. No, he was...
Okay, let's
in the
move on,
US,
because
I
we're going to
know.
not have much to discuss.
Yeah.
I still think, though, probably there's a bit of conspiracy on the JFK assassination. Something's fishy.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, right? It's the fishiest of most conspiracies.
Okay, what would you put at the chance that it was some outside factor that they're covering for? Or, like, you know, it was like an inside job level kind of thing?
I don't think inside job.
Or they're covering for a total fuck-up of some idiot.
I could totally see covering up for a fuck up.
I could see inside job
Yeah.
being a higher probability, like at least a higher probability than
Yeah.
9/11 being an inside job. 'cause
All right.
Who do you think was the inside, like, you think it was, like, Republicans?
Wasn't there mobsters
or,
and stuff
like-
that were involved with it?
Yeah, he was a mobster because he was anti-organized crime, or...
I guess I could see it because like he was a pretty radical
never
president,
clear.
and like in the most recent election, we learned pretty much what we already figured, which was just how much political parties will,
Yeah.
I don't know, go to like
Yeah.
do their thing. I am not wording today.
Like, political parties will
Here's the thing.
become more and more separated amongst people. Like, they'll act out and lash out, and it'll be worse. Is that sort of what you're getting at?
Well, not only that, but just
It's volatile.
how much political parties will like
Yeah.
actually do illegal
things.
things to make things happen
yeah.
the way they want them to
How
happen.
politicians actually will.
What I was gonna say, to make this more, I don't know, concrete, if Trump is assassinated under suspicious circumstances,
Yeah.
I will raise the probability of JFK being an inside job by a lot.
That's true.
Okay.
Because there's plenty of inside people
I'm with you on that.
want to get rid of Bush or Trump. And I think if they could pull off the JFK one, they'll pull off the Trump
I'm
one.
with you on that.
Because there's even more of an incentive
I also
there.
think the problem
So
is this day and
yeah.
age, to assassinate a president without information getting out about it is so much harder.
Yeah.
That's the problem. How do you assassinate in 2018 without people knowing about it? This brings up a good one. There was a
Wait, hold
reporter.
Yeah, so Chloe's got a plan. Chloe's got a plan.
So how do you assassinate someone in 2018 without other people knowing?
Chloe's been thinking about this a lot.
I'm pretty sure
Let me
someone-
tell you
Chloe worries
how.
me.
Someone was assassinated in 2017.
Let me tell you my 10 plans I have for
without
next.
people getting arrested.
What's that?
I mean, like, there are people assassinated in 2017 without getting arrested.
Yeah, but you know they were assassinated, so they didn't cover it up too well.
Well, they just know as those people magically died.
Like the Russian, like, poisoning people? Because that's happened lots of time, and we know it was
Yeah,
the
but it's like
Russians. It's
no
not like
big,
some,
like, yeah, we
who
know.
did it.
Yeah, what's that guy's name? Seth?
Who?
From the Democratic Party?
Oh, Seth Reg.
Seth Rich.
Oh, there's one. Okay,
He
not
died.
Pizzagate, but what do you think the probability that Seth Rich was murdered by the DNC?
Which one was that guy?
Or somebody... That was the guy that might have leaked to
Oh, that's
WikiLeaks.
literally what I was trying to bring up.
Okay, there we go.
Well, because he not only was the guy that leaked it, but he also had told.
No. We don't have any definitive proof
Okay,
that he was the
but-
guy that leaked it. There have been hints. There have been hints from Kim.com and Julian Assange that he was. They haven't explicitly said yes that he was, or given any.
Is this the
definitive
guy that
proof.
was in a car?
And the
though?
counter. No, he was walking and at really late. at
Okay,
night
we're
in
talking
DC.
about a different guy.
And then the counter from critics is that Julian Assange is controlled by Russia now, and he's the one like, they're the one telling him to, like, say, Seth Rich was murdered. Let's pin it on the DNC.
No, I'm talking about,
You know what I mean?
I think it was a reporter who reported all these DNC stuff and literally told people before he died that he definitely would not kill himself. And the next day, he was found with drugs in his system, and his car was crashed.
Oh, okay. I vaguely remember
And they talked
this.
about the fact that the car he was driving could easily be hacked and controlled. Like, hackers were talking about, like, this is not, like,
But, so here's the thing. You always have a plausible other side, right? And here's the plausible other side that I read. This has been a while ago that this was out. The take on it from the other side that I thought was like, yeah, that makes sense, is that, he said, I will never commit suicide. Why did he say that? Because he planned on committing suicide that night, and he wanted to get a bunch of publicity for him saying that, whoever was guilty of whatever. So that was the, like, double pinning it on them. Like, definitely making it them look guilty.
I see.
Even more so, right? So it's like, I can see that being a plausible plan. That answers it. That would be,
But the thing
that's
is,
not a bad idea to do.
I see both of those being
No, but here's the thing. So, that is why, I would say, like, it's hard to say. The one that makes Seth Rich seem more plausible is that it was a robbery in the middle of the night and nothing was taken. I don't know if I've heard a plausible one for why no one would take anything from somebody in a robbery.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
That's why I think this one is the one that gets more publicity.
Isn't that kind of murder 101, though? If you're going to make it look like a robbery, take it.
Yeah, exactly. That's also the thing. If they were going to assassinate him, why wouldn't they have just taken stuff to make it look like a robbery? Were they that bad of assassins? It's just a weird thing.
Well, it could be, like any Coen Brothers movie. You have the plan to assassinate the guy and take stuff. You go to assassinate the guy. After you kill him, somebody arrives home. Like, you don't have time to kill another person and cover that up, so you have to leave. But you didn't have time to steal shit, so now your plan's somewhat ruined.
You know what it...
Like, plans don't always go the way you want, right?
Do you know what it could be? Do you remember one of the plots, one of the seasons in The Wire?
I never watched The Wire fully.
One of the... Really?
Oh, The Wire. Well, I'm thinking The Wire. Why am I saying The Wire? I was thinking West Wing when you said that for some reason, because I'm somewhat inebriated.
Yeah, same here.
But continue.
Do you remember one of the plot elements of The Wire?
Which season?
I think it was the one where the mayor got elected.
Yeah,
I think
that's
the third. Yeah. One of the key witnesses was, like, murdered. He was in, like, a protection program by the Baltimore City Police, and he died. And then the candidate for mayor was, like, constantly saying, like, the police force is a failure. They failed to protect the witness. And do you remember, like, why he actually died?
No, I don't remember that one.
Because they put him in a shitty part of the city that was, like, just a cheap, shitty part. And it was just a straight bullet.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, people were just shooting stuff because they're in the ghetto, so... And then he was shot in the head. Like, that was the whole plot. And they figured it out, and he was like, don't release this information.
Yeah. The Wire is such a good show. That's kind of what we've talked about, right? Like, sometimes it's just fuck-ups and stuff, and people taking advantage of fuck-ups, too. That's another thing. Some of the problems with 9/11 and similar situations is they look like conspiracies, and they look fishy because people take advantage after the fact. It's not necessarily they knew about it, but now that it's happened, people are like, how can we profit off of this? Like, there's always a way to profit off of tragedy, right? If you're in the right place. Yeah.
How to take advantage, and then, like, you push the narrative that will most benefit
So then it
you.
makes everything look suspicious because you're pushing these narratives and making money.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there may be an enormous number of... we actually have no idea what happened whatsoever. But this narrative is the one that benefits us the most, and we can make it plausible. So that's the one we're going with.
Exactly. So they push that narrative. So JFK assassination, the documents that release could be like, we push some narrative, and it could be the fact that there's one lone there was more than one lone gunman. Maybe there was 2 that they found, and they didn't release that because one lone gunman made all the stories easier for them.
You know what? Here's the thing that I think is the most plausible thing that's fucked up about the whole JFK case is that they don't actually have that much evidence that it was, what's his name? Lee Harvey Oswald. Like, they have some circumstantial evidence, but they're so incompetent that they don't actually know it was him.
They're not.
They made up evidence.
He was a patsy?
No, they actually have no idea. They just, like, he's the most
He's just
probable.
like, that guy. He's crazy. Let's blame it on him.
Yeah, they had enough things to say. He was in the area at the time. He has a rifle that would have shot the same bullet. They don't actually know he shot from the grassy knoll. They don't know anything else other than that. A lot of it was made up just to make it so that they could indict him.
Totally see that.
That, I think, is the most likely scenario that it's,
Speaking of which, this surprisingly relates to Chandra's time travel and
okay.
And the JFK assassination. Have you read 11/22/63 by Stephen King?
No, I've never read one Stephen King novel. I started The Dark Tower at one point.
This is about a guy who randomly time travels to that time period, like 2 weeks before the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
And so he sets up to stop him. To stop the assassination.
Yeah.
So it's all about this guy trying to stop the assassination because he randomly time travels to this period.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good story.
Oh.
I read it a while ago, but I definitely recommend it. So it's 11/22/63. It's basically the date of the assassassination.
Interesting. Okay.
Just a random.
Yeah, that's a very random
theories
aside
about it now.
That actually is really plausible. Like, there's time travel conspiracies about it because Stephen King wrote a fun book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
I do have another conspiracy that's
my conspiracy is that there wasn't one time traveler that day. Like, there are actually hundreds. Like, the whole crowd is time travelers. Like, some are trying to commit the murder, others are trying to prevent the people that murder, and it's actually growing right now. Like, right now, if you look at the crowd, and then you go and look at it again, the crowd will be bigger, but your memory of looking the last time will be the same because it will have updated.
This Zapruder film keeps changing, but we don't notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Chandra. What was your conspiracy theory?
Oh no, this is a different one, but it's another time travel one that's really interesting.
You like the time travel conspiracies, I can tell.
This one's just really creepy, which is why I like it. But this one is the Philadelphia experiment, and the conspiracy goes that there was an army ship or a navy ship, some sort of military affiliated ship, where they were doing teleportation experiments and teleportation or time travel experiments. And so during one of the experiments, the ship disappeared and it reappeared in a different location. And when they went on
I've heard of this before.
Probably.
It's a famous
theory.
And when they went onto the ship, they found some of the soldiers had merged with the body of the ship. So there were soldiers stuck to the walls and stuff. The soldiers that physically were fine when they took them in for to check them out, they'd gone totally insane. Yeah. That's I would say as far as plausibility goes, I would put it pretty low on the.
Are you sure they didn't transport a ship, sort of?
I don't know, it'd be cool if they actually did something like that, but
I mean, it is one of those cool ones.
Yeah. It's an interesting one because they're and then there are photographs later.
I got a conspiracy for you that I think that this. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's interesting because they were they had photographs, they had photographs later where they had. It's they had all these findings and then somehow it got covered up.
Okay, they had photographs.
Yeah, it's they talked about how they had photographs of what had happened on the ship afterward, but...
I think this is just a case of probably like technology that we're used to now being used, like sonar or something, and they're trying to
No,
like
they're
bypass
saying that
sonar,
freaking
so it
disappeared. Like they saw it, like.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
It's not
saying
sonar.
is it's stuff like it could be a submarine
Yeah.
story that got attributed.
Like
to
it
something
started
else.
out as a story about
or
sonar.
just a submarine,
and it was like a secret about sonar. And then it grew and grew until it was like, oh yeah, a ship like disappeared, man.
Well, I think even more like a submarine. Like there the ship was, and then it went underwater, right? And then it was gone.
Yeah. No, this was the 40s, so submarines.
That doesn't
had already
matter.
been
That's
around.
my point. Is it's stories
Okay.
that grow.
Guess I gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
they're
think
saying
it
a
was a
Navy
submarine,
ship disappeared. I could see like there's like sonar. I don't know. I think somebody just did some acid and made some shit.
Totally happened.
They did some acid and then they read some Stephen King.
Yeah.
Stephen King time traveled back.
Which is amazing. Yeah, it was in 1944. So they read Stephen King before he was born, which means they got it somehow. They got it somehow.
Time traveling.
I guess the most important thing is the first thing on one of the lines on here says is it's widely known to be a hoax, and there's three.
Oh.
There's three things for it.
Good references.
Yeah, remember when I said it was probably very low on the percentage of like
Yeah.
scale?
So here's something I definitely think does happen as a conspiracy.
Okay.
I think technology companies most definitely do make their products to last almost exactly 2 years if they can, because that's the contract. And also they have way better technology than they put out, but if they put out the best phones now, we wouldn't buy the phones that are shittier now.
I definitely believe that. In fact, you know what Moore's Law is, right?
Is that where, like, we can only get to one, like, we've hit, like, a stepping stone eventually of technology? Like, we can't get better than that?
No, that's like the number of transistors on a chip doubles every 18 months, is it, Chloe? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
It's about computing power, and we may be reaching the limit.
Yeah, I feel like
But even that argument is not a... Like, so it's a famous one in technology, and the actual law isn't a like a research-based one or anything like that. It was an economic one. He was saying, based on economics, this is what's going to happen. They're going to basically target this, and like the incentives are there for this to happen.
Just like diamonds, like, aren't actually rare.
Yeah. In fact, like,
They're just
it's
controlled.
not even a conspiracy. It's an open secret that, like, CPUs, like, they manufacture them, and then they, like, take one set. They make one mold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they manufacture the baseline, the best chip they can. And then they intentionally fuck some of them up so that they can just sell them at, like, a lower price. Like,
Yeah.
like,
That's Intel's model.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
you,
like,
you
it's...
can't almost always overclock your system.
Yeah, everyone knows they are doing this. Like, so they're not doing the best research they can and coming out with the best chip possible that they possibly can. Everything is driven by the economics of it, not by the research
You have
that's
to
holding
think
them
about
back.
this. Like, engineering only have the power of making everything better, right?
Yeah.
Better the best. They can come up with the best things that you can like afford to have these days. But then, A, they don't think about the cost of those things, and B, they don't think of marketing and how people are going to buy it.
Yeah.
If you have,
They don't think about how to extract the most revenue out of people.
right. If you let the engineer design an iPhone, like
Yeah.
no human interface guys involved, you're gonna see a fucking console in there. You type in your command and you get a response message back.
Yeah, and it's like the mortgage applications and stuff. Like, people knew they were lying, right? The bankers knew.
That's true.
And then, like, the way that they did it, like, managers would get their people to accept the liars were like, you have a set rate of, like, this many loans need to be approved or you're fired. And they're like, but there aren't that many loans, right? it doesn't matter. You're going to get that or you're fired.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how it happens. So after a while, who's left? The people that take the liar loans.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
You know, like, there's all sorts of shit like that going on in business all over the place.
True. So I don't know if you see what I brought up, but this reminds me of this whole story. Because light bulbs are made to only last so long, even though they definitely have the technology to make them last long. And the longest lasting light bulb, made in Shelby, Ohio.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
So it was been burning since 1901. And it's
No,
in
it's in
California.
New York. It's in New York.
And I think we have... I
No, it's in New York City.
California.
I was almost certain
Yeah.
it was in New York.
Livermore, California.
Hey, we could go visit the Shelby, Ohio one. That's not that far from us.
Livermore, California is
it's a
not?
fire department.
No, Livermore's close to her.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
actually not that
Oh, that's
far.
cool.
Yeah, we could go visit it.
P-Town.
That'll be interesting. I should go and tell them I'm a native.
Yeah, you should be like, yo, my city made that.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
that's my point, though, is like, we have the technology, we know how to make better light bulbs and make them last for a long time. But what's
Yeah,
the economic
well,
benefit of making those? Hey, I'm going to make a $20 light bulb and sell it for you for $50 and it'll last past your lifetime.
But I don't think that's like they're like trying to maximize their revenue. I think it's more of a, people don't want to buy a light bulb for a 100-year lifespan because they don't have 100-year lifespans.
Mm-hmm. You do, but what would be
So
the cost for it?
but yes, they have the tech.
If a light bulb that
No.
lasts 100 years costs what, $50, I would totally buy one. If it's going to guarantee last my life,
you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't, because you would just buy the $5 one.
I guess it depends.
You'd be
You're
like-
right, because living in an apartment,
Because
why
it's
would I
not
pay?
guaranteed last a
And
lifetime.
also,
yeah,
the part
exactly.
that you're not reading out loud here is that it's lasted since 1901, but it was originally built as a 30 watt or 60 watt bulb, but now it's emitting about the same light as a 4 watt night light. So, like, it's lasted
exactly. Yeah.
right as it
True.
Touche. That's true. But I feel like that was made in 1890. I think we have the technology to make
That's a very
them
good
last
point.
and be as bright.
I'm sure they do. It's just, I bet it costs a ton of money, and then the consumers wouldn't. So it's not always on the part
I don't
of the company.
think, though.
A lot of it is the consumer reaction would be, I don't want a 200-year-old
Okay,
light bulb.
but you
I want
wouldn't.
one-
But let's say you run, I don't know,
No,
a whole
I don't know
list
what's
of
gonna-
apartments. And you might be
No.
responsible for replacing
I think
those. You don't think
100
you would
years
invest
from now,
in
the
something
apartments
that's gonna
will
last
most likely be
longer?
torn down. How long do apartment buildings last? Why make the light bulb last
But
more
then
than
it
the
doesn't matter
apartment?
if they last 100 years. If they last 20 years,
Well, you also have to think
That
about
would
the
work.
apartment renters, because a lot of landlords aren't going to invest a lot of money in apartments anyway, because they expect renters to destroy their property.
Exactly.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go in and bust all these light bulbs because fuck you.
No, they have the technology to make these last millennia, and it costs a penny each, and they're just subverting
So,
it entirely.
It's actually a very interesting point, right?
Mm.
Because I know a lot of people complain about iPhone's battery life, right? Because you
Yeah.
think about the whole company's standpoint, like they gotta have something new every year.
Yeah, no,
So
I
that's
believe
the
that one.
flashy
I believe
stuff,
iPhone
right?
is totally
What?
fucking over
We-
their users.
we see
intentionally,
it.
Yes,
so.
hold on. It's a multiple level of fuck up. Okay.
It's not fuck ups,
So-
it's intentional. They disguise it as fuck ups. That one, if I'm putting a percentage of what percent are they fucking it up, old models to sell new models, it's like 70, 80%.
Oh yeah, with like the programming
I'll let you finish.
updates. Yeah.
Yeah, let's let Chloe finish. She had a point. Let's let her finish.
So there's a tight deadline, right? And you have shit ton of feature to ship, right?
Mm.
So you cram last minute to get everything in there,
Yeah,
and you'd be like, okay, I'm done, ship it, right?
yeah,
And then at the same time, all the stuff that you've been testing with is the newer phone because
Yeah.
that's the new feature you're going to show, right?
yeah.
And it happens to be every OS update applied to all phones, right? It's just so happens.
Oh,
like,
so they're intentionally sending out new software only tested against new phones, but they're sending it to old phones.
They don't run, like, my guess is they don't run performance tests, right? So
Yeah.
they just run like, okay, is there crash? Is it showing stuff? Good. Let's ship it, right?
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
run like, okay, what? It takes
But
like
the
10
point
seconds
is,
to show?
that is probably, in some sense,
Right.
intentional at the executive levels. They know that they don't have these tests.
Right.
And they say, I don't want you to write them.
So like from like everyday day-to-day engineer, right? And
Yeah.
you're told like, okay, so you have this test bed set up, right? After you write some features, send to test bed,
Yeah.
and test bed give you a positive result, boom, ship it, done, right? And
Now-
then you don't look at it, say like, oh, it might be slow. Who
Yeah,
cares?
that's
Yeah.
true.
Here's the crazy
Just buy a
fun
new
part is I wonder what happens when an engineer comes and starts demanding that they write performance tests for old models. Like, do they suddenly not get promotions? Do they not get their bonuses? Are they basically put under a manager that everyone hates? I bet that happens.
So-
I would
So
bet
in
that
detail,
happens.
that I don't know. Like
That you don't have any inside information.
I don't have
I'm
any
sure.
insight on like how like they would do testing
Yeah.
essentially, because if you think about it, right, there should be testing for A if it crash, B if it does a function, and C if it caused any sort of like performance regressions from the previous ones, right?
Yeah.
The C part I don't think
They-
is well executed because of the
And they never want to.
For the
Certain
incentive-wise,
people
I think-
definitely don't want it to happen.
I
Certain
don't
people
know.
will make a lot more money if it doesn't
I
happen.
wouldn't know.
My guess would be.
So, do you think they'll ever make, like, somebody will come out with a phone, like, guaranteed to last X amount of years?
Oh, no, because I think there's already monopolies. There's
You
oligopolies kind of set up on that.
You couldn't, because the whole industry is moving forward. By
no
whole
money in
industry, I mean like the web page, right? The text message that you're sending.
Yeah.
Some of the formats or the content that's moving forward, and then even if you stay with older version of OS, the app developer, the developing apps for your phone, they are moving forward. So they come up with the new updates. And then you couldn't
that's
get
true.
onto your
They-
phone, and you couldn't get the new data they're using, and your app is broken. So which
Even if
renders
you have
your
the right
phone
type of
useless.
phone, like an Apple
Unless
phone,
you're
if it's too old, it's just not going to work without the right update.
Right.
Right.
Because, as...
And they're not performance testing these old phones, is what Chloe's
So-
saying.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Well, no, I'm not saying that.
She's saying that might be the case.
I'm not saying that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. So if you think about the Windows, when they run, they push out the newer generation of Windows, and they also sometimes will announce, they're like, hey, we'll stop supporting Windows XP.
Right.
This means if you're an app developer, you don't have to do the test for XP anymore.
You're right.
Then you're just moving forward. And the people who are still using XP, it's on their own risk,
Yeah.
whether your app works or not.
Okay.
So that's the case. And then for Windows, their generation actually lasts a lot longer.
Yeah.
You know, they're actually very responsible.
Yeah, Windows is
persons.
actually fairly good about
They're
that.
very good at this, yeah. And Apple, because Apple also sells hardware, right?
Yeah.
So there is an incentive over there, say like, hey, let's just not update those much, right? But there's also a case where, because you own those hardwares, you're responsible to check every variation of them, whether they work or not. Once you go back several iterations, the exponential complexity grows. Essentially, when you run one test, it's going to take hours to finish. That's just not
Right.
doable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at some point, you still need to cut off.
Okay, so does anybody else have a conspiracy theory that they think is most likely true? Like, way more on the true percentage than the false?
Is this like ones that exist or ones that were...
Ones that you create or ones that exist, whatever.
Alright, I have one that I think is plausible. So you've probably seen that there are companies who are offering their employees the option of like having chips implanted in them so that they can, when they're scanning into their buildings, they just wave their hand over the scanner.
That's
Yeah,
a
no, I
terrible
agree.
idea, but yeah.
And Yeah, some sort of like.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's even a biometric scanner so much as just it's like
An RFID.
Yeah, it's like something like
RFID in your.
maybe like a smart card, but just like implanted in you, like a pen.
Mm-hmm.
And in these stories talking about these companies, they say that the technology is only supported for that type of job, like to allow employees in and out of buildings. But I think it's plausible that some of these companies might include more technology in these, like in these implants. Like I think it's possible like some seedier companies could include like biometric readers, maybe GPS trackers, like other seedy things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't like.
It's one of those things where it's like they have an original idea, and I could see other companies like taking it to a really 1984-esque.
I just don't understand what company can convince me to implant a chip into my body
They're actually,
instead of a badge
they're
or
actually
a thumbprint.
employees who are like, oh yeah, it's so much easier. Like, I'm so glad I opted into this.
So there are like technologies that are verifiably like an RFID chip. You can before it goes in, if you can verify that that's the thing going into me, you know that's what's in it. Like it's actually fairly simple, right?
Okay, let me
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like a lot of employees getting implants, like how are they going to verify?
Yeah, how are you going to verify
are.
this? That's true.
I don't know.
Cut it out
Lawsuit.
and check
you take it out.
Yeah. Cut it out.
If you have a suspect, if you take it out, you can sue for a shitload of money.
Exactly. How to get the implant on
Yeah.
you without
One-
knowledge?
One thing I believe in America is liability laws,
That's
because
true.
lawyers have a
Very
huge
true.
incentive to make that money.
Yeah.
They make things that aren't true. Like cell phones cause cancer. They make that seem almost plausible.
That's true. That's a good point.
I'm not sure I'd put that at over 50%.
I think that's a pretty stupid idea to put chip in.
Yeah, I still wouldn't do
I would
it.
say
Not just because I don't trust them. I just,
No,
I would say it will be used for other reasons. Like,
So, why put chip in your body? You cannot update it. It
yeah.
stays there.
No,
Only
you
do
could have
one
updatable.
function.
Like a ROM in a computer, you can update that.
Yeah, there's always you're running.
There will always be ways to hack it if you make it
also,
updatable.
Also, it's inside your body. There's chances it to get eroded, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I would just say the thing I wouldn't trust is they'll say they'll only read it for entry into a building. But if they read it for entry into a building, that means it's emitting a signal that they can read anywhere. I believe they would read it for other things.
like what?
That's it.
Yeah, but just
I don't think they're building an
geolocation.
extra functionality. Yeah, they'll track wherever the fuck you go.
Yeah, if it's
Maybe you go to a store.
Nah. They'll be able to map
Unless they're
everybody
already
in the
tracking
building.
Yeah.
But they won't tell you that. They'll just tell
Yeah.
you that it's for getting into the building.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They'll be like, that guy's taking too long to shit.
Yeah, things like that.
it's normal. To track you like that.
Even if I trusted a company, I wouldn't get a chip in.
Yeah.
Because there's something about that type of bodily
Yeah, exactly.
violation and mutilation.
Why
just
can't
invasive.
you just give
Yeah,
them
it's
a
incredibly
wearable
invasive.
tech, right? Why don't they just give you a
Because then you could forget it. I have wearable tech. It's called a badge.
keep it on your phone.
Definitely forget it all the
You
time.
carry your phone every day,
If you
right?
forget, just go
Yeah.
to the IT or security
it's
people
the
and be
maker
like, I
too.
forgot it.
Your
They'll lend you.
phone dies.
Yeah, it's hard to go up to the.
Yeah. The current system's fine.
It's hard to go up to a secretary though and be like, I
not
forgot
that
my
much
hand
trouble.
that has my RFID chip. Can you buzz me in?
Oh, yeah, if you're in some sort of accident, you lose your hand, then.
I think you just get a new
Morbid.
implant.
That's what I've always wondered about things like fingerprint scanners. What if
That actually brings up a good point though.
if you're in an accident, then your fingerprint scanner's not going to work anymore.
No, that brings up a great point. That actually makes more liability because if I want to hack myself into a building, I don't have to steal a badge. I have to steal a finger or a thumb.
Oh, that's actually a bigger liability issue.
Yeah, that makes a bigger liability. Now, to break into a place, I can't just steal somebody's badge. I have to steal the person,
We've already seen that in a lot of
parts of the person.
No, there are a lot of action movies and horror movies like that, where like someone will just like chop off someone's hand to like get the fingerprint
Whoa.
scan.
Yeah.
We just watched
You know-
2046. 2046?
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
20, yeah, whatever. Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. I just saw the
Did they do that?
Yeah, the robots bring up the lady's head. It's just like over there, and it scans the face.
You know-
Done! And use the body to throw it away.
We were talking about this at work, about like cutting off fingers and like using it for the thumbprint technology.
That's your lunchtime talk?
Yeah, actually, yeah. And somebody was saying like they could make it so that, you know, if it doesn't have enough blood flow, it's not gonna register, right?
That just means heat, though,
But
right?
yeah, not enough blood flow, might be heat, whatever the sensor is.
Yeah.
But my perfectly logical question was, how do they test that?
Yeah.
Like, their QA engineers are going to be missing their thumbs.
No.
That is a good point. Like, how are we gonna test? You could.
Yeah.
We have medical people.
They'll do a silicone mode of your thumb.
How do you test that? That's actually a really good point.
Yeah. You can only have a test like we think
actually,
probably if you get your thumb off and use it. It's not going to work.
Is a thumbprint, then the thumb actually has a very small pulse in it.
But how are you gonna turn it off
Yeah.
Well,
to test if it
yeah,
works
yeah.
without
I see.
pulse?
So, I would say use the cadaver's hand.
But then you couldn't
So
test it
crazy.
with
No.
blood
But
flow.
what if you got it fairly fresh? Fairly fresh. Like, what if you cut it like 10 seconds? It shouldn't work for 10 seconds. It shouldn't work for 2 minutes.
Okay.
Cadaver, they're dead for a while.
Under the federal law, only the password is being treated as like if you have password protected device, the police cannot ask you to use the password to unlock your phone. But it's fingerprinted. Say like the
Yeah, they can force you to use
they
the
can
password.
force you to use the fingerprint. So it's already not protected.
But that's because you can claim that you don't know the password. There's no way for them. You can't claim I don't have a
Can't
fingerprint.
you just say it's not my fingerprint?
No, they'll test it. They'll just
Wait,
put
so
your finger
police
against
are
the
allowed to
thing.
do that?
Now the
Police are allowed
question
to do
is,
So you always use your
yes,
toe to
it's actually
unlock
was
your
in the
phone.
news today. The question is whether that violates your Fifth Amendment right, not your Fourth, because it doesn't. Your Fourth, it's not unreasonable. They have probably a warrant, right? So they can do that. But can you say no? I'm self-incriminating.
Yeah.
By doing this, right?
Couldn't you also?
that's
Well,
interesting.
so I don't know about your phone, but my phone, if I reset it, it'll force me to use
Yeah.
the password instead of thumbprint.
Yeah.
So that's just the way to get around
Yeah,
it. Like, fuck, I
actually,
just gotta
for the
reset my phone.
iPhone, if you press, I think the power button 3 times, it actually would trigger something.
So that you don't need your fingerprint? You don't need to test it.
Oh,
we believe you. I know there's a way.
No, that you can lock it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think something like that.
So that you don't need the fingerprint won't work, but you need a password.
Yeah, you need a password. Also, you can call SOS.
But if they've already cut off your fingers, then you can't use them to lock
you
the
are
thing.
fucked. Yes. What are you gonna do? And even for the iPhone 10, they can't scan your face. What are you gonna do? Like mask your
Yep.
face, cut off your face, mutilate your face so it doesn't work?
Mm.
Okay, any other conspiracy theories we think are true?
I have one, if no one else does.
Go ahead.
Let's hear it.
I think that every president that is elected is somewhat actually, we don't want Trump and
The people actually
White
running
House by insiders in the government. It's all faked anyhow,
But what percentage are you talking here?
right?
Yeah.
That they actually put them there. It might be close to 50, 40.
We're looking at the big donors.
No,
The political
and I
parties.
think there's incentive for them to pretend like they don't want them there, don't want him there. So, the reason I think this is plausible is if you go read about the Cold War,
Yes.
right? So, if you read about the Cold War, when Nixon, I think, was visiting Russia, he was actually coached to act crazy, right? Because they wanted Russians to think he was crazy enough to like actually start World War III, even if it meant the end of the world. Like, because if you're a rational actor, and like, say they nuke one American city, right? Mm-hmm. So they nuke one American city. You do a rational calculation. I nuke them back. They nuke me back. Back and forth. End of the world. Rational calculation is, I should just let go of those.
Yeah.
They get away with that, getting rid of that city, right?
Okay. And Trump
so they have an
appears
incentive.
Quite insane,
You're
right?
insane.
Yeah.
Right. Nixon. Now does that?
That also has
does
an
that
actor
remind you of
background.
anybody? Anybody else that would give you a big bargaining position with, say North Korea, exactly, who acts a lot, just has a crazy persona, and he is negotiating with
Crazy
somebody
motherfucker.
like North Koreans, which he would want to seem like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like he would actually attack North Korea. Like Barack Obama, you would think he won't do it. He's a humanitarian.
No, I could totally see that.
He would not want to start a war. You wanted somebody that actually seemed plausible to start a war. So you could see that government insiders would want him there. Just like he doesn't even need to actually do anything. It's all just an act.
Do you think the president's more of just a figurehead?
Like maybe
that...
I don't know. What was the other thing I considered? Yeah, exactly. Like, and I think possibly the whole thing's scammed all together. Like, maybe the U.S. was the one making Clinton seem like not a good candidate, or some U.S. insiders, and it wasn't Russia at all.
Right now in political American politics.
Oh, here was the other thing I thought. Maybe just crazy idea. Since China's the new up-and-coming power, maybe it'd be good if it seemed like the head of the United States was buddy-buddy with the other big power, Russia.
Make China like, wait.
Right? That might be a bit of a deterrent to China. It's like, oh, maybe we got a new little alliance going between number 1 and number 3.
That's possible.
I didn't really think it sounded that crazy,
My little
honestly.
conspiracy theory is not so crazy.
I feel like at any point, like, we're going to hear some crazy-ass news.
Poke a hole in
Like, you know what I mean? With Trump and everything that's going on in politics, I feel like we're just on the verge of some crazy shit at all times.
I think considering what happened with the DNC with Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, like,
Yeah.
I think that sounds really plausible to me.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Some
that's
shit's
my
going to go down
conspiracy.
eventually.
At the very least, there's a lot of crazy shit going on at high levels right now. Whether it is the Russians hacking or the Americans pretending to be Russians hacking, something fucking weird is going on. And I don't know what it is.
Call it conspiracy, and at what point do we just say it's fact?
Oh, I think hundreds of years later. I don't think we'll actually know. Like, you can go and look up, crazy secrets from 100 years back, but they're not that interesting because they're so open.
Yes, and also young people these days don't really care that much anymore because it's the 100 years ago politics.
Like when Britain, like Turing cracked the Enigma, right? You can go and look that they sent soldiers to their death knowing that they were going to die because they didn't want to give away that they had cracked Enigma. They sent
that is
people to
super
their death
interesting,
knowing full well.
I read about that.
You can go and read about it, but
you just have to be interested.
Everyone knows it now.
I've read stuff on the Enigma code, and it is interesting that they've done that stuff plenty of times. Where it's like, I guess these 20,000 troops, they're going to die because, it's more important factors here.
Oh, and do you know the carrot thing
The
about
what?
the British soldiers, right? That eating carrots, right, improves your eyesight. So that might be somewhat true, but the improvement to your eyesight is very small. The reason that is a big story and a big thing that you hear, that carrots improve your eyesight, is that was the story of why they said the pilots had such good warning systems for when German was coming to bomb Britain. Like, they were sitting there, they fed their pilots this big ration of carrots every day so that they had great eyesight and their spotters for the
Yeah.
plane invasion, right? That's not true at all. They had fucking radar and they didn't want to give that away. So they came up with a story and they
Wow, I
spread
didn't
it.
know that.
They probably even made pilots actually eat carrots to
You
make
know
it
what?
plausible.
What's
But
crazy
it's
though
all
is that
bullshit.
like perpetuates
Pure
myths
bullshit.
till this day. Like
Yeah,
that's how
even
good
today. And it's like the Napoleon was short propaganda too. That
So
it wasn't.
if
It
propaganda
was just
back then was
propaganda.
that good, think of what propaganda we have now that we're being
Yeah.
fed that we don't even realize we're being fed.
Exactly. That's why I think 100 years out, we might actually know what's going on, but I'll be
I think
dead
one
then.
propaganda
So,
that
you
kale
know.
is good for you. Fucking hate kale.
You know what? Since I don't like kale, I'll choose
Actually, there is some people have said like kale is actually bad for you if you don't like boil it first. Like there's
Really?
stuff in kale. Yeah, you need to boil it. Like there's some
So
kind of
many
enzyme
kale
in it
salad.
that if you don't boil it first, it's actually not that good for you. So you have to boil it to get rid of that enzyme, or at least like get rid of a lot of it. Or you have to eat that like what I forget what the kale's called, but it's a different species of kale. It's like all bubbly looking.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Kale bubbly looking? I thought there was just one type
It's
of
not
kale.
bubbly kale.
I don't know. There's
No.
different versions.
It's I forget what kind of kale is it called? Get it right here.
Whoa.
Oh man, there's way more
Okay.
kale than I expected.
Oh, that's weird looking
It
kale.
looks like that.
Yeah, that kind of looks like.
That kinda
Oh,
looks like-
actually,
If kale and broccoli had a
I
baby.
think this is true. Maybe it's kale. It's. I remember learning. I think kale and like lettuce. They're basically actually the same plant. One is just less cultivated by humans. Like a lot of them are actually the same plant, just like different directions that humans have taken them.
Like the mushrooms, the white one, and then the.
Yeah. So like they can interbreed and like
Portobello, yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
like they're all the exact same really.
they're still in the same species.
Yeah, they're still technically same species, but and it's only humans that have made them go the different directions. Like this is not natural ones. Natural evolution.
Are we talking like it's the same species as like it's all the same dog, but like
Yeah.
these are the different breeds?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay.
Is kale same as spinach? Is that maybe what's spinach has more? I know like some maybe it's lettuce and spinach, or there's some vegetables that are actually the same vegetable.
Okay.
They're just I can't remember which one it is that I read.
Okay, what do you think? What else do you think we're being lied to about right now for sure? So that kale is healthy is a good one.
Lizard people.
I'm not sure about kale. I
think there
as far
actually
as
are
I know,
lizard
it
people?
is actually. Yes, there are lizard
I-
people.
Do you think we've been visited by aliens?
No, I don't.
Do you think
so.
we have any knowledge about aliens?
Basically none. I believe the government's testing spy planes theory to explain most UFOs.
That's a good one.
Okay, but
that's plausible because like Area 51.
Yeah.
no, I'm talking about do we have any evidence of life on another planet?
Mars.
Not even necessarily
Organic life.
Yeah, let's
human.
qualify that as
Noid.
intelligent life, or
No.
Yeah.
we have plenty of evidence of life on other planets. Just do we have any definitive
How can you
evidence
tell?
of life on other
Non-microscopic
Like, if
or
it's-
organisms.
No, the point is definitive. I don't believe we have definitive evidence.
Oh, not microscopic, like
Yeah.
something that we could see.
So what if it's
Like, I'm talking at least a beetle or
silicone-based,
something.
What if it's a silicone-based organism? Can you tell it's alive or it's not life? I mean, it could
I don't know what their tests are.
technically could exist,
It's
right?
got to be again at the point that you consider it
No,
life.
if
At
you
what
call it
complexity
organic
scale?
chemistry, then you by default assuming it's a carbon-based, right?
Yeah.
But what if it's silicone-based?
I mean, so you also have to establish there's an arbitrary level of complexity for life.
Yeah.
At what point do you
what
say
is
that's
life?
actually life? Or it's just in a complex chemical compound?
Yeah, like how can you tell that it's actually life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-reproducible, in some sense. Maybe that's life? self-reproducible?
I think that's a good starting point, but that's also kind of hard to determine too.
Well, they probably look at it at like microscopic level, like you can see bacteria. Like,
well, you can see that there's something complex, but you have to see it reproduce to be able to say.
And my point is too, like nobody's going to be excited about bacteria found on another planet, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like we need something that's crawling or walking.
It will be, because if bacteria is found on another planet, one, it means that at least the Earth and some other planet, let's say it's Mars, that means it's plausible that we shared life at one point, right?
Well, there's a story that came out in science articles saying that when we first sent a rover up to Mars, they were doing tests for bacterial life, and they were fully expecting to find at least some signs of microscopic life. But the tests that they were doing, like whenever they gathered up the soil to do the tests, they heated it at a high temperature for the test, which produced a chemical reaction that killed the.
That would kill anything.
The thing they were trying to look for. So, now they're saying that there is microscopic life on Mars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase this because we care about that, right? If it came out tomorrow that there's microscopic life, and I haven't heard anything about microscopic life for sure on Mars, but if it came out, we would be excited, right? The average person would not care or even know. Of microscopic life, for sure.
Let's throw out Mars, okay? It would be very exciting, I think, if you found life on anywhere other than Mars.
Yeah.
Even microscopic. Because that means it started independently of life on Earth. If it started independently of life on Earth, that validates that it's easy for life forms to form, which would mean it's almost guaranteed there are life forms on other planets. So far, we only have one example of life on another planet. If it happens on Mars, it's possible that Mars and Earth were together at one point, or that there was a comment from Mars at Earth. Like, there's possible.
Yeah, there's multiple ways where it's not as big, right? Like, oh my god factor.
Yeah, but microscopic outside of Mars life, that means something started evolving outside of Earth. That means it's possible even within our own solar system on another planet, which means it's extremely likely in other solar systems, the billions of other solar systems, that it's happened, and that means it's also likely that it's gone further than just microscopic.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that's very plausible. Like, with the number of solar systems out there in the universe, like...
I think it's much more rare than there's that famous equation, right, that, like... that there'd be, like, life on so many... I think that I think it's more rare than
in our solar
that
system,
equation.
not Mars. That means one parameter of that equation is very hot. But right now you're saying you think it's low. But if we found it on another planet,
let me rephrase.
That makes
intelligent
it probable
life.
that it's high. No, if we find that it's not.
Yeah, because
I get that. That doesn't validate that.
Yeah,
it's
because
intelligent. But it makes the probability of intelligent much higher if non-intelligent is much higher.
But because the whole opposite to that theory is, I forget whose problem it is. What do they call it?
Yeah, I gotcha.
No. Whenever someone brings up the Drake's equation, the opposite is like, so where are they then?
Yeah.
Where are all these aliens? If it's this likely that they exist, how come we don't see them?
I mean, they're like,
they're
even
like
if we know that they
give their own
existed,
conspiracy theories about
the speed of light's really limiting, right? The next one's pretty far away.
No, I'm with you. I
You can
get
barely
it.
see
That's
planets.
why I don't understand the defense. But this is like a famous science defense on it, and I don't understand it either. I forget what it's called though. I'm surprised you haven't heard of it.
Is it science or
I'm sure I have. I know what you're talking about. That
Drake's equation.
we should have seen them. Yeah.
Yeah,
But no. And then there's also a counter to it that we've had technology that could emit things into outer space for, let's say, 100 years, let's say. But we also developed nuclear warheads in that time. So, if we destroy all of Earth within another 100, means we'd only have 200 years of emitting signals out to outer space.
The Fermi problem.
To signal to other people.
And so that's where we got the Fermi problem. We got if we don't just blow ourselves up, we have to get past that point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Fermi problem's based too much. I think the problem is it's all focused on human behavior, anyways. Since we evolved from very warring and we evolved from species that were very vicious and attacked each other, right? What if another species evolved on a different planet from a species that didn't really fight? They just happen to have the advantage of not fighting and are very peaceful and not exploratory. They don't explore ever. Of course we're never going to find out about them. Maybe they don't even
that they're like, fuck those humans.
No, it's
talk to them.
Just on Earth, the amount of life would be so different.
No,
another
I think
planet, the life would be.
Get to the point where you could find.
It would be so hard to.
That implies a level of curiosity that I would think you would want to signal to them that you exist, because you'd want them to signal back and start curiosity. Curiosity would lead you down the path to discover other civilizations.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think humans are very curious, but I don't know about alien life forms if they would be.
You know what? I think throughout all life forms, trolling is the universal, and I think they would want to fuck with us if they found us, and we'd fuck with other civilizations.
We wouldn't have the Star Trek, oh, they're in this period, we can't land, we can't interfere with their growth. We'd be like, oh, dude, let's plant a Coke bottle, see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing.
I think curiosity, for any species or civilization to evolve, though, I think curiosity would be an evolutionary trait that would help the species to evolve, though.
I disagree.
Without curiosity, how would you become advanced enough to discover other types of technologies?
But that's my point, is they don't necessarily have to be advanced in our sense of advanced. They don't necessarily have to have spaceships, but there could be an alien life form out there. The reason we're not going to ever discover them and they're not going to discover us is because they're not curious. They don't care to build spaceships.
Maybe not spaceships, but they might build other kinds of things that...
Yeah, they might build things that are interesting, but not out of curiosity. We don't know what that looks like.
So you're saying they're intelligent, but they're not intelligent enough to get out of the medieval era or something like that?
It's not that they're intelligent. You can't say everything we build out of curiosity, right? Some things are built out of necessity. So what would that look like if a whole...
No, I think it's mostly boredom.
If a whole civilization is built out of necessity, not curiosity. We don't know what that looks like.
Okay, and then they have no need to communicate.
Yeah, there's no need. There's no. Yeah,
there's
no need for them to do it. They don't have the curiosity to do it. They don't care to do it. They might not necessarily be philosophically thinking, what if there's life on other planets?
So, that means they would never contact the Earth out of curiosity. But if they needed to borrow $20, they
yeah, exactly.
Because there would be necessity.
You got it. I'm just saying, so much of what we base other alien life forms to be are based on so much of human behavior, which obviously it wouldn't be.
Yeah. So everything, all of our theorizing is based on projections of ourselves.
There's animals out there that are intelligent, but they're not building spaceships. A whale is intelligent, right? It's not our level of intelligence as we view intelligence.
It's not that intelligent, yeah. So before we were projecting ourselves and making religions, now we're projecting ourselves and being there are aliens out there, just like us.
I could totally see intelligent life on other planets, but not intelligence as we necessarily see it in humans.
Yeah, sometimes I watch TV and think there's not that much
exactly.
here.
We still have very reptilian brains, right? We still work a lot off of emotions. Probably more off of emotions than I think people believe.
Yeah. How many people out of the entire world could actually send a signal to outer space or receive one, decode it, and figure out that it was from an alien? Yeah, it's not that many.
Exactly. And there's many things the reptilian brain just responds to that you can't help, right? That just proves that your brain's still somewhat reptilian.
Every time I see a fly, I try to grab it.
Alright, well that's a good time to end it. Alright, later.